Ah, so welcome, beloveds. I am really delighted to be here with you in this continuation of the exploration around building abundance, creating abundance, manifesting abundance in our business and our lives, and really in every nook and cranny that we can, right? And we've had some really good explorations here that I think are very helpful as we start to move toward a more abundant life, a more prosperous life, and really a more conscious life, right? So I am Britta GreenViolet. I'm delighted to be here with you, to welcome you into my office, into my home, into my sanctuary. I am coming to you from the beautiful wet lands of what is known as Washington. This is Coast Salish tribal territory, and I can see just a little peekaboo view of the Puget Sound, which is actually called these days the Salish Sea. And if it weren't so shrouded with clouds, I could see some of the southern end of the Olympic mountain range. And I would love to see in the chat where you are coming from today, what the land that is supporting you and nourishing you and holding you. Where is that? So we'll start with that, orienting ourselves, right? And one of the things that we talked about earlier in the series was this phrase that comes from Richard Rudd, author and creator of the Gene Keys, which says, "Spero ergo prospero," which is, "I breathe, therefore I prosper." And that's really where we're beginning, right? That's the foundation that we're standing on. So, giving thanks. I'm giving thanks, and I'd love to take a moment and invite you to take a breath with me. Notice how good that feels to be breathed, to be oxygenated. And what a gift, right? What a gift to be living, to be alive, to be vibrant and vital. So, today we are going to move into part 4 of this Real Talk Business Abundance. So, we hear a lot about abundance, right? And we've talked a little bit about what that even means to us, right? And what it looks like to create business abundance, to create abundance through our life's work, right? And you know, the real talk is really the meeting of the esoteric and the practical, the spiritual and the tangible, right? The mystic and the mundane. So we're doing some alchemy here together. So, for a very brief recap, day 1, part 1, we went over clarifying your vision. And clarifying your vision was all about actually defining for ourselves what is abundance, what is wealth, what is prosperity. We talked about 7 key differences between wealth and prosperity. And I asked you some really great, crunchy questions to help squeeze out the essence of your truth, which was around how do you want to feel? What is it that you want more money for? What is it that you want more abundance or more prosperity for? How will that make you feel? And I also asked you to list 10 specific things that more money will do for you. What will that actually do? So clearly, we have determined as a group that abundance and prosperity are not limited to money, right? Wealth is very specifically talking about finances. Finances weave in, they're a part of the holistic pie of prosperity. and certainly can be part of abundance. Although if we define abundance, it really means a lot of something, right? It doesn't actually mean money. So we started to feel, to palpate, right? Like the differences in those realms. And I want us to keep doing that because I think it's really valuable to keep our finger on the pulse of what is most important to us and what we actually want, right? We also talked in day 2 about naming our obstacles, the tangible ones, the energetic ones. And we talked about the Voldemort effect of naming it to dispel the fear of it. And we talked about 3 specific houses: our money house, our heart house, which includes our home, and our purpose house, which is our mission, our meaning, right? Like what drives us, what's important to us, our values. And then day 3, we talked about befriending your numbers. And at the base of this is the idea that I really believe in, which is that ignorance ignites overwhelm. So we talked about scarcity enough, and I gave you some sacred homework to come up with an equation, I gave you the equation to come up with the number of your enough number. Like, what is your enough number? And we did that by starting to calculate what are our monthly expenditures, what are our monthly earnings, what are our needs, what are our wants, right? We talked about the actual number versus the target number, and then coming up with that actual number. And today we are going to get into simplifying your systems. So I'm excited for this topic today, and I'm going to share my screen. All right. Can everyone see that all right? Maybe let me know in the chat. Okay. So I think I was drinking out of this cup earlier in our time together. I love these cups. They're really sweet. Ben got them for us years ago, and they say a sustainable universe, Y-O-U, universe. And this topic today is a lot about sustainability. So this is a phrase, it's a word that we hear a lot. And when we hear sustainability, we often think about the planet, right? That is a clear place where we know how to define sustainability. But how do we define sustainability when it comes to our energy and our work, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Simplifying your systems, because here's what I believe, beloveds. Simplicity leads to sustainability. And sustainability leads to what we might call success, right? And to break that down a bit further, and I know I've said this before and it's worth saying again, that what I find for myself is if it's not simple, I'm going to get overwhelmed and I'm going to give up, right? If it's too complex, it's not sustainable. So if it's simple, then it's sustainable. And if it's sustainable, then there is a chance for it to be successful, right? If it's not sustainable, it's going to break. It's going to expire. It's going to run its course, and then we're going to have to come up with something new, and that is going to require more energy. So today we're going to be talking a lot. I want you to keep contemplating and kind of pretending that you can hold this idea of sustainability in your palms and gently feel it and mull it over and turn it over in your fingers. Because my goal for myself and for us is to optimize and streamline our work and our businesses, right? Because not only does optimizing and streamlining lead to more efficiency, which leads to more money that we get to keep in our pockets and do what we want with, right? But it also leads to more spaciousness, more free time, more time for us to use our vast creativity in all the other ways that it wants to be used, right? Whether that's practicing music or spending time with your kids or building a garden or spending time with your animals or who knows, right? What it is. So this is what I've got for us today is we're going to be really chewing on this idea of sustainability. So this is where I want to talk about. We're going to start here with this idea of an audit. So systems audit. These are 4 signs that you may very well be in need of an upgrade in your systems, in your work. There may be other signs. These are the 4 that came to me that I know that I've experienced over and over again, and every time I experience them, this siren starts going off in my head that is an alert. Oh, this needs to be optimized. This needs to be streamlined. This needs to be systematized because I feel like I'm hitting my head against the wall and I want to throw my laptop across the room. That's a good sign that you need some upgrades. So here's the 4 signs. The first one is that you might find that you are constantly following up. Like you have to constantly follow up with people and that it feels like you are hassling people, right? And I want to first say that I know for a fact that people on this call are in different industries. So know that that's okay. We're not talking strictly about any one industry. You might be here as a service provider, as a healer, as a guide or a teacher, as a farmer, as a musician, right? As an artist. So wherever you're coming from, please use your imagination to kind of fill in the blanks of where this comes up for you. So where is there a constant follow-up or like, oh, I have to do that. I have to follow up with that person again. So it might be for placing orders. It might be for receiving payments. It might be for scheduling people or scheduling events. It might be correspondence, right? So this is the first sign that there is a system upgrade wanting to happen. The second sign is what I'm going to call poor boundaries. And that is when you notice that perhaps you have or have not set boundaries around your time, around your money, around your attention, around what it is that you want to be focusing on, which I call the zone of genius, which is a, hat tip to The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. So noticing over time that your boundaries are crossed again and again and again. And this could be, clearly we're here talking about business abundance, but I want to say that all of this can also pertain to our personal lives, right? This may very well be the case with your family, with your friends, with your partner, right? The third one is money leaks. So this could be places where you have the sense that you're kind of bleeding money, but you don't know where, and you maybe feel overwhelmed, or you're not sure how to decide where to put the tourniquet, right? So this could be on platforms that you pay for, on tools or software that you bought, on courses that you bought, but that you're not even using or that you've never watched. It could be a new piece of equipment that you bought that perhaps you're not using or you're not using optimally or you're not using well. So where is their money leaking, right? Leaking out. And this could go into a whole nother section around money and money leaks, because what's coming up in my head in this moment is also a really great place to track your money leaks is going back into our third lesson when you are really looking at all of your spendings and your expenditures, seeing in there if there are things that are coming out of your bank account that you no longer want to be coming out of your bank account, right? It could be an auto donation that you set up 3 years ago that's still been coming out, and maybe it's only $7 a month, but it doesn't feel aligned anymore. And it's been coming out simply on autopilot, which sometimes is what you want, and sometimes you need a shift, right? And the only way that we catch those things is actually by looking, right? And then the fourth sign that you're in need of a system upgrade is what I call recreating the wheel, right? Reinventing the wheel. So this is anytime that you find yourself doing something when you either have a vague sense or you clearly know, oh my gosh, I've done this already. Why am I doing this again? Right? So it could be you've already made a decision about something and then you have to make the decision again. That's an energy leak. Maybe you trained an assistant, but you didn't come up with a system. You didn't create an SOP, which I'm going to talk about, a standard operating procedure for training. When that assistant goes and the next one comes in, guess what? You have to reinvent the wheel. You have to do it all over again with no guidelines because you didn't write anything down and you didn't track, you didn't create the system as you were going through it. So this could have to do with, creating new offers, new programs, new products, right? Explaining rules or boundaries in your business. What are your protocols? Creating contracts, written expectations, written agreements, right? All of this falls into that place. So right now, beloveds, I would love to see in the chat, which of these four, if any, do you see yourself needing an upgrade in? Is it the constant follow-up? Is it the poor boundaries? Is it money leaks? Or is it reinventing the wheel? And I'm going to keep going while you type that in the chat. And again, I want to say that with an audit, the word audit has kind of a heavy tone to it, right? Because that's what the IRS does when they come after us and go through all of our money, which, knock on wood, has not yet happened to me. But I actually want to encourage us to embrace and befriend the audit, to actually romance the audit, okay? Can we romance the audit? Because I freaking love an audit. Because anytime I do an audit, I come out the other side feeling purified, right? Clarified. There is this crystallization that happens with me knowing, oh, this is where the energy leaks are. No wonder I've been feeling exhausted. No wonder I've been feeling overwhelmed. No wonder I've been feeling frustrated, right? Okay, boundaries and reinventing the wheel and boundaries. Okay, great. Transformation begins with awareness. All right, so let's go into the next place of audit, which is the support audit, because this is also about our systems, right? So here are 3 phrases that I find, for me, reveal a need for help. Phrase number 1, which is kind of broken into 2 variations. I'm too busy to hire somebody. I'm too busy to get support. Or I can't afford to hire somebody. I can't afford to get any help with this. Phrase number 2, that scheduling software which is a fill in the blank, right? Like that new computer, that program, that virtual assistant, that graphic designer is too expensive. Like I can't afford that. And then number 3, it's quicker to just do it myself. And for those of you who know my practice of word purge, I will say just is in my list of word purges. So it's quicker to just do it myself. Oof, that phrase is such a red flag phrase for me, right? So why are these phrases flags? Because for me, they are pointing to, again, energy leaks. And if there is an energy leak, is that sustainable? No, it's not. That is valuable resources, aka life force energy, that is leaking out and not being used toward your passion, your mission, your purpose, that which is most important to you. So, what I see is that we often, in these phrases, we don't realize that not getting the support we need creates more busy work and more time spent struggling or doing what we don't want to do, right? This is an idea that I would really love for you to digest with me. I would love to invite you to really metabolize this idea because make no mistake, we are paying one way or another. We are either paying attention, we are paying with our dollars, we are paying with our hours, or we are paying with our energy, right? It's all energy. We're here talking about prosperity, wealth, abundance, and what we all know as people who are rooted and guided by spirit is that, of course, we know money is energy, right? And so regardless of whether you are paying somebody or sitting down to just do it yourself, you're still paying, right? I had a really interesting conversation with one of my coaches recently about marketing, and we were talking about organic marketing or warm marketing, which means that you're not doing any sort of paid ads versus paid ads marketing, right? Which is often kind of cold marketing. And something she said really landed with me, which was basically this. She said, well, I hear that maybe you have some resistance to doing any sort of paid advertising, and I understand that. And I think what's really important for you to know and remember is that you're paying, whether you're paying for ads or you're paying yourself in sitting down and doing whatever marketing forms you're doing, you are putting out energy, whether it's in the form of you sitting down at your desk and doing 3 hours of work or you sending an amount of money to somebody to do 3 hours of work, right? So I think this is an invaluable remembrance. So before we go on, I'd love to hear from, we'll just call these 1, 2, or 3, right? Number 1 is that first phrase, either I'm too busy to hire somebody or I can't afford. You can type those in or you can put number 1. Number 2 would be that resource, right? Fill in the blank is too expensive. It's out of my reach is number 2. And number 3 is it's quicker to just do it myself. So which one are you finding yourself really resonating in? Okay, We got a little bit of everything here. Okay, so before we go further, I want to share with you something that I learned from another one of my mentors last year, which was, I guess it was over a year ago. Really amazing up level for me was such a simple thing, right? Of semantics. So I learned this very simple way to categorize my business into 3 realms. And within those 3 realms, you can audit, you can organize, you can start to think about your work in a very simple way. So I want to share this with you because it's been totally game changing, from everything from planning my quarterly goals, which those of you who have taken my Luminous Life Design course know all about. And if you haven't, it's on my site. You can totally go dig in there if you feel so inclined. Anything from doing your quarterly goals to, deciding where you're going to prioritize your energy for the year, to even something as mundane and practical as organizing your Google Drive, right? Organizing your filing cabinet, literally. So these are the 3 realms. The first one is delivery, the second one is marketing, and the third one is operations. So delivery is the forward-facing service that you deliver to your clients, your customers, your buyers, your patients, whatever realm you do business in. The delivery is the outward customer-facing realm. Next, you have marketing. Marketing is the realm in which these are the methods that you use to share about your work and beckon new buyers, new clients, new customers, new patients, right? So anything in that realm falls into marketing. And then the third realm is operations. Operations is the back end admin and systems that keep your business running. So those are the 3 realms: delivery, marketing, operations. If we went into my Google Drive right now, I could show you that I have those 3 folders, and then everything for my business goes inside those 3 folders. If it's something about a specific client, it goes in delivery. If it's something about this workshop, it goes in marketing. If it's something about my team or hiring a new marketing assistant, it goes in operations, because everything team related goes in operations, right? So I wanted to share this as a kind of a side but really helpful way to orient yourself when it comes to systems, because I feel it can be really overwhelming to know how to assess our business, right? Where do you start? So I love the simplicity, again, the simplicity of this. 3, right? 3 is the Trinity. It's the golden Trinity, because it allows us to organize our systems and our thoughts in a really simplified and efficient way. So we're going to move forward from here. And I'd also love to hear in the chat if you've heard of this Trinity before and if you find this helpful. I love this so much. I feel like this was a game-changing way of looking at my work and my business. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to move into what I'm going to call the magic of the SOP. So we talked about the 3 realms of your business, and to recap those, first realm is delivery. So if you are a massage therapist, the delivery is your actual massage sessions. That's your delivery, right? The delivery is how you correspond with somebody who wants to work with you, who wants to come get a session. Realm number 2, so that's delivery. Realm number 2 is marketing. That's how you get new clients who would come get a massage with you, right? How do you spread the word? How do you share the love about your work? And then the third is operations. Operations is the back end of how do you track all of your sessions as a massage therapist? How do you schedule people? How do people get on the calendar? How do you do your bookkeeping? Right? All of that stuff, right? All of that is operations. So those are the three realms. So once you start thinking about the three realms, and if we start compiling everything we've been talking about, right? So we started with this idea of the systems audit. We talked about the support audit. And then we went over those three realms. And so the idea here is that when you find yourself wanting to throw your laptop across the room, that is a moment to recognize that there is a upgrade wanting to happen in the realm of your systems. So SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. And an SOP is magic, because what happens is that you go through a process when you create one. And this is the process laid out in a pretty linear way. So let's say going through some of those audits, right? Some of you realized that you are reinventing the wheel, right? So maybe somebody can give me an example in the chat. How are you seeing that you're reinventing the wheel all the time in your business right now? If you feel willing. So type that in there, and I'm going to keep going, and then maybe we can take a specific example. So here's the process, the magic of the SOP. So the first piece is identifying the energy block, right? What is it that is getting me stuck? Where is the energy not flowing in my business? So maybe that is, for example, scheduling. Let's take scheduling. I know a lot of people who are in a rut with a lot of like healers and practitioners who have a hard time getting the scheduling on track. So they know the energy blockage, it's scheduling, because every time they have somebody who wants to schedule, they have to go back and forth over email, and the whole thing might take 2 freaking weeks just to confirm their appointment, right? So then the second part would be to create a solution to streamline your process and workflow. So let's say that solution is, I'm going to sign up for Calendly or Acuity or any of the number of pretty dang low priced scheduling softwares. And I'm going to implement it in my work. I don't even need a website for it, right? It can be something that I link to in my Instagram. It can be a link that I simply have on the fly in my email signature, right? So you don't need a website for this. So that's the solution. Like, I'm going to try this out. Step 3 is to test it out, right? Then you test it out and you get to iron out the kinks as they arise. Step 4 is to optimize and, if possible, automate it. So can you create places in your business where things can happen without you, right? Where could it be possible that as a massage therapist, somebody could book a session with you without having to have any direct correspondence with you in real time? Now, that doesn't mean that you always are going to want to go that route, because of course, personal touch is important, and we're talking about sustainability here, right? And then the next step is to integrate it and implement it into the ecosystem of your business. So making sure that now that you have this system, how is it, if you do have a website, how's it woven into your website? If you do have an Instagram, how is it woven into your Instagram? What is the process if you were to map out the flow from somebody wanting to get a massage with you to the very end of massage completed and paid for, what does that whole system look like, step by step by step by step? Right? And making sure that that's smoothed out, that you've ironed out all the kinks. And then finally, this one has been one that I've gotten to learn over the long period of time of actually testing these, is ensuring that there's accountability in place so that once you have the SOP, it actually gets used. Okay, so I'm looking in the chat, what to do in a 2-hour in-person workshop, breathwork workshop. It's always a process, but I want it to be streamlined within that 2 hours and have it written clearly for potential studios. Okay, great. So this would be like, so what I'm hearing here is like an event proposal, right? And this could be, right, this again could work for so many different businesses, right? This could be for giving a talk, for giving a workshop. It could be applying for a booth at, a farmer's market or at a convention, right? So with this, that you'd go through this exact thing. So what's the energy blockage? Okay, well, maybe if I have we'll call it a signature workshop, you want a Google Doc that you can go to again and again and again. Maybe you actually make it a PDF that you can send to people that has the title and the subtitle and the full description and the price and the bio and the photos of the facilitators. And all of that is on one beautiful PDF that is easy to find on your computer because you've organized your files and your Google Drive into those 3 realms of delivery, marketing, and operations. And this PDF would be in the second file. It would be in the marketing file, right? So you create this beautiful PDF. Yes, good. You're so excited. It lights you up. It should, right? And that's the beauty of the sustainability, that you create something very simple, very doable, and every time you want to apply or propose your workshop to a new venue, all you have to do is write a simple, friendly email. And even with that, I would say if you go into my business inbox right now and you went to drafts, you would see a bunch of different templates. So I even have a bunch of email templates. Every time I am writing an email where I have the wherewithal to realize, you know what, I've written this email before. Why am I writing this again? Pause. Before I send this, I'm going to write it until I get it to a really good, sweet spot. Then I'm going to change the title of the email, the subject line, and I'm going to put in brackets template in capital letters, workshop proposal, right? And so then I have the email written and I have the PDF attached. And now every time that I want to send that, all I have to do is open up a new email, go into the draft, copy, paste, attach the PDF, send. That's the beauty of the SOP, right? That you've already done it and you're streamlining it so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? And these things are so simple, right? I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's so simple, but it gets overwhelming. It's a lot. Am I right? Like running a business is a lot, even if you are a solo business owner and your business is actually pretty small. It's still a lot. It's a lot of moving parts, right? Like I chose this really beautiful image of this gear contraption here on this slide because that is really how it feels as a business owner, right? You want everything to be lubricated and flowing and moving smoothly. And let's simply take a moment to acknowledge that there's a lot of parts that have to be working together in harmony to make the watch tick, right? So hopefully that's what we're doing. So this is the magic of the SOP. If you haven't screenshotted this slide and you find this helpful, totally invite you to do that. And of course, this is being recorded, so you can go back and grab this if you need to. All right. Before we end, I want to share a little archetypal magic from the tarot. Because when we are moving into up-leveling our systems, up-leveling ourselves as women, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, right? We can get really caught up in those voices of, I'm too busy, I can't afford, it's quicker to just do it myself, it's overwhelming, right? And then we continue to do what we've always done. So I would love to introduce you to the archetype of the Empress. And I would love for us to simply take her in for a moment in her regal sovereignty, right? So the Empress in the tarot, she is card number 3. And as you can see, she is sitting on this beautiful, it's not really a throne even, but it's this very cushy, comfortable looking seat that is outside in beautiful nature, in beauty. She's wearing a crown of stars. She's wearing this gown covered in pomegranates. And she is an embodiment of the divine feminine. And specifically, I want to talk about some of the characteristics that she invites us into when we are in this moment of up-leveling as business owners. Because we can look at her and pretty clearly she is abundant, right? Everything about her is abundant. A lot of people say that the Empress is pregnant underneath that gown of pomegranates, right? So she is oozing with abundance. She is clearly prospering, right? And looking pretty damn peaceful in the process. So some of the characteristics that I think of when I look at her and when I contemplate her as an archetype, her sovereignty, right? There's nobody else on the card. Clearly there are other people in her queendom, and yet she's quite comfortable handling this moment, this life. Like, she is comfortable and radiant in her sovereignty. She's caring, right? She cares a great deal for nature, for her people, for her environment, for beauty, for the realm that she gets to preside over. She is an embodiment of divine feminine grace and receptivity. Receptivity being a very key word here as we're talking about help. She has a grateful heart, right? She's in harmony with nature. She remembers that she is part of an ecosystem. And she is masterful. She is a master at asking for and receiving help. Right? She knows how to slow down and find her own home in her rhythm. And she knows how to live in the present moment as she prepares for a fertile future. So these are some of the things that I wanted to bring forward for you and for us as an invitation. What would it be like for me to more fully embody the Empress this year? What would I have to do differently in order to step into the archetypal energy and imprint of the Empress? What would I have to do differently? Really beautiful question to contemplate. So that leads us into some questions that I would love for you to ask and ponder and write on before our final session tomorrow. So the first question, and again, you can write this down or you can screenshot it. What is one area in your business, and maybe in your life too, right? But specifically, we're here talking about our work, that's asking to be systematized, optimized, simplified, and streamlined? And a really great hint, if you don't know where to start, is where have you been banging your head against a wall, right? Like in what moments do you want to throw something across the room in frustration? That's, that's a good sign pointing to the area in need. Second question, if you could budget for support in this area, if there is an area where you are led to a place where you find, yeah, support would be really nice, what number could you start with? And I really want you to take some time with this one, because what I found is that you might really be surprised at how far your dollar will go. I remember the first time that my business coach encouraged me to hire a VA, a virtual assistant, and I couldn't even wrap my brain around the fact that I would be hiring anybody. I wasn't making that much money. I wasn't doing that much business. But she really helped me to do the math, right? And I hope that if there's one thing that you take away from Real Talk Business Abundance, it is to do the math. Because if you are simply making an assumption in your head without doing the math, what is it based in? Fear. That's what, right? So if you hired somebody for an hour a week at $20 an hour, right? That would be over 4 weeks, $80, right? $80 a month. I'm going to guess that maybe you could afford to pay $80 to get 4 hours of your time back. Especially if you got really specific on what you were going to use those 4 hours for, right? Maybe you would use those for marketing. Maybe you would use them for bringing in more clients. Maybe you would use them to do 4 additional sessions or to do an additional workshop where you could bring in more clients. So what I want to say here is that you might really be surprised at how far your dollar will go. So please do the math before you jump to a conclusion and say, I can't afford it, it's too much for me. Do the math, right? And as a side note, I have a podcast episode that is all about the phrase I can't afford. And if you haven't listened to it, or maybe if you have, and that is a phrase that you find yourself saying, I really invite you to go check it out and give it a listen. It's a phrase that I have eliminated from my vocabulary. And what I've gotten really clear on is that when it comes to affordability, what I can't afford is to live a half-hearted life. That's what I can't afford. What I can't afford is to live with my heart closed. That I cannot afford. What I cannot afford is to let fear drive my decisions in my life, in my relationships, in my work. I can't afford that, right? Those are the things that I can't afford. Now, when it comes to buying $1 million home, at this point in my life, what I would say for that is that's not in my budget. Ben and I were very clear when we bought this home. We have a budget. That budget is, $500,000. That's our budget. And for me, you can try this out for yourself. I find that much more nourishing and liberating, rather than I can't afford saying, well, I'm not generating the amount of money that it would be necessary to buy a $700,000 home, and I'm not interested in trying to make that happen right now. Clearly, that's not what's happening. My budget is this, so this is what's in my budget, right? So, yes, this is semantics and this is energetics, right? And I find that it makes a big difference. So, your sacred assignment today, beloveds, is to research some solutions to your current energy leaks. Because once you know what it costs, right? And again, what it costs you, because that is even a holistic question. Sure, it could cost you, your energy leaks could be costing you $175 a month, and your energy leaks could be costing you more time practicing guitar. They could be costing you more time with your kids, right? They could be costing you an extra 3 walks in nature a week, which you know is your foundational baseline of self-care. So what can you not afford, right? I am going to stand here and hold the line and say what you cannot afford has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with you living a life of integrity, of sustainability, of peace, of connection, of communion, of purpose, right? That's what I'm here for. So, who's up for doing that homework today? So I'm reading this comment, it just hit me, do the math. If I'm not doing the math, but I'm blindly trusting or hoping or praying, it is actually just fear. I'm all about trusting, hoping, and praying, but I saw that I have been in a freeze state of financial success. Yeah. Yep. Amazing. I love that insight, and I'm so grateful to hear it. Because it's true, right? The math has to math. Do the math. Get the information. Get the information that you need to make a truly wise, discerning decision, right? Because we have to have the information in order to make a call that is wisely discerning. So maybe it is true that hiring a graphic designer right now is not in your budget. Or maybe it's true that hiring a high-end graphic designer isn't in your budget, but hiring a really great graphic designer to design that beautiful workshop proposal PDF for you that you can use hundreds of times, that would maybe cost, I don't know, $100, right? That could be in your budget. Maybe, right? So, beloveds, I hope that this was helpful. And we will convene here again tomorrow, same time, same place, one more time. And we are going to explore part 5 of this Real Talk Business Abundance. Align your energy. Align your energy. So I hope you will come back and join me again. Blessings on doing the math and on doing some writing, some journaling on your systems. And I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Thank you so much for being with me today, dear ones. And I will see you then. Have a beautiful day.